Hi there, I'm Brandon Christopher King, and today I want to share my RLFlow model of reality with you. What if I told you that everything you've ever learned about the universe, the way it moves, grows, and evolves, is just one way of looking at reality? What if, instead of seeing the cosmos as a collection of objects, we saw it as a living, breathing flow, a vast river of interactions, where everything is connected and constantly evolving? Today, I want to introduce you to a new way of seeing the world, the RL-flow model. For centuries, science has taught us to break things into parts. We talk about particles, forces, and fields as if they're separate pieces in a cosmic puzzle. Newton gave us forces, Einstein gave us curved space-time, and quantum physics threw in wave-particle duality for good measure. But here's the problem. These models, brilliant as they are, don't always play nicely together. Why? Because they treat reality like it's a static stage, like the universe is a machine made of disconnected parts. Now imagine if instead of focusing on parts, we focused on flows. In the RL flow model, reality isn't a machine, it's a river. Everything, matter, energy, space, and even time, is part of a dynamic flow field where interactions aren't separate events but resonances within a unified system. Instead of forces pulling objects or fields stretching and curving, RLFlow sees everything as patterns within an interconnected flow. And when you shift to this perspective, the universe starts to make a whole lot more sense. Take gravity. In Newton's world, it's a force between two objects. In Einstein's world, it's a curvature in space-time. But in RLFlow, gravity is something entirely different. It's a resonance, a pattern that emerges when flows interact. Imagine two pebbles dropped into a pond. The ripples they create overlap, and where those ripples meet, you get resonance. That's gravity in RL flow. It's not objects pulling on each other, it's flows interacting and creating stability. The same principle applies to forces like electromagnetism or even the elusive quantum phenomena. One of the most beautiful ideas in physics is the conservation of energy. Classical physics tells us that energy can't be created or destroyed, it just changes form. But RL flow takes this a step further. Instead of energy being a thing that's stored or transferred, it's a property of the flow field itself. Think of a river. Sometimes it's a rushing current, kinetic energy. Sometimes it forms a calm pool, potential energy, and sometimes it swirls into stable eddies, resonance energy. The river is always moving, always adapting, but the total flow, the total intensity, never disappears. That's RL flow. Energy isn't owned by objects, it's a living property of the flow. Let's bring this idea down to Earth, or rather, to a bumblebee. Traditional aerodynamics struggled to explain how bumblebees fly, because their wings are too small for their heavy bodies. But through RL flow, we see the bumblebee's wings not as objects generating lift, but as oscillators creating resonance with the air. Each wing beat sets off a ripple of flow that interacts with the surrounding air, creating a stable, dynamic system. Now zoom out to the cosmos. Galaxies don't just spin because of gravity as we know it, they're stabilized by vast hidden flows we haven't yet measured. The same principles that keep a bumblebee in the air might also be holding entire galaxies together. So why does this matter? Because RL flow isn't just a new way to think about physics. It's a unifying vision. It bridges the gap between quantum mechanics and general relativity. It redefines forces not as separate entities, but as interactions within a single flow field. It helps us understand everything from the tiniest particle to the largest cosmic structures. And most importantly, it shows us that the universe isn't made of isolated parts. It's a living, interconnected whole. When you see the universe through the lens of RL flow, you start to realize that everything, every interaction, every moment is part of a larger story. Energy isn't just transferred, it's woven into the fabric of existence. Forces aren't separate, they're part of the same dance, and life itself, our own existence, emerges from the resonance of flows. This isn't just a new way of doing physics, it's a new way of seeing reality. So the next time you watch a river, feel the wind, or see a star in the night sky, remember you're not looking at disconnected objects or isolated forces. You're witnessing the same flow that powers a bumblebee's flight, that shapes galaxies, and that connects every part of this living, dynamic universe. Thank you.